If you've been feeling lost, numb, or just a bit burnt out lately, or perhaps for quite a while, then this video is for you. Today, I want to share with you 8 transformational habits that have helped me move from that place of burnout and just feeling really lost in life to a place now where I'm excited to get out of bed every morning and I feel a lot of joy in my life and I can see a way forward and a path towards my goals. And I want that transformation for you too. And I believe that it's within your reach. You just simply have to know what to do to get there. My journey has been a difficult one over the last year. In January, I was in a very similar position to that burnout and numbness that you may be feeling. I was numbing myself with a lot of addictions, social media, alcohol, other things that just weren't really doing me a lot of favours. And the reason that I was using those as an escape and to numb my life was because I was a bit directionless and I also just wanted to feel something. And I think that's such a common problem for many of us. We just want to feel something, and so we turn to perhaps watching or looking at social media, or to alcohol or to drugs, something that's just going to give us that instant feeling of something, at least even if it's even if it has a bad trade-off down the line, at least in the moment we feel something. And yeah, I really want to help you to transition away from that instant that instant dopamine, that instant pleasure, that instant release, and find a way to actually build a system in your life that feeds the feeling of being well, doing good, and helps to fill that void. So the first of those habits that I really started to implement in my life, and I noticed a big difference very quickly, was to exercise every day, to move my body. And I'd been in the gym for years, on and off, and normally sort of trained with weights 3-4 times a week, something like that. And whilst this was a good foundation, I actually found that I needed to do something every day, even if it was just stepping outside for a walk or doing some push-ups. Getting my body moving every single day really helped to just release those positive endorphins that we know exercise is capable of, and to clear my head and my mind and just make me feel like I was more in my body as well. And I think that's something we can often really struggle with when we're feeling numb. It's just a sense of disconnect with our body, with our mind, with our surroundings as well. And yeah, that movement, that fire inside you really gets you going, and it can help you to reconnect if you're feeling that space between where you want to be and where you are. The second of the habits that I implemented was to start journaling. And when I say journaling, I don't mean writing, following prompts and writing along like that. I literally mean just downloading your brain onto a page. Whatever thoughts, whatever consciousness is in here talking to you, you just write it down. Whatever thoughts come into your mind, you write them down. Whatever you're thinking about, whatever is stressing you out, whatever you're overthinking, just get it out onto the page. And I find that that's such a useful way of decluttering my mental space. And when you start to do that regularly and implement it into your daily life, it really helps you to just kind of see your thoughts for what they are, that they are just thoughts, and that you can choose to interact with them or not. And often when I get my thoughts out onto the page, I then actually kind of start to see, okay, well, I'm perhaps overreacting or overthinking this issue here, or this has been coming up for several days for me and I haven't done anything about it. So let's take action and actually do something that's going to stop me just having this thought whirring around in my head all of the time. I've suffered from quite bad anxiety in the past. I've had to take time off work and time out of university because of anxiety, and a lot of that stems from overthinking. And so when you find a way that you can just get it out there and talk about it, even if it's just with a page, that's so valuable. And again, it helps you to connect to yourself more and to feel less numb because you're actually processing your emotions. And in the same vein as that, I also like to feed my mind as well. I like to give it some stimulation every day, and some healthy stimulation, because I think when we're getting bombarded with so much social media and news and all of that, it's very easy to just pick up all the negative junk and hold on to it. And we actually need to start feeding our body or our mind some positive stuff as well, some good stuff. If you think about your diet, if you're just giving yourself junk food all of the time, you're not going to feel great in yourself. Whereas if you are having some fruit and vegetables and some whole foods, you're probably going to start to feel a bit better, because you're feeding yourself what your body actually needs. And it's the same with our minds. And so I make a habit of reading every day. Now, for me, I quite like psychology books. I like history, and I also love fiction, fantasy especially. Lord of the Rings are some of my favourite books of all time. So it can really be whatever you're interested in. But just find something, whether it's fiction or non-fiction, that you can get stuck into, that interests you and that stimulates your mind. Personally, I start my day pretty much every day by reading a few pages of my Bible, because I find that to be really, really helpful for both my spiritual health and my mental health as well, because I'm stimulating it with thought and also with God's grace. And that to me has really just been such a part of the journey that I've been on too. And that leads me nicely into my next habit, which is to have a spiritual practice every day. For years, I tried meditation, I tried breath work, yoga, things like that. And don't get me wrong, they all have amazing value. I still meditate, I still do breath work, and I still do yoga. But the one that really changed things for me was prayer. I think there's just something about getting your thoughts out to the universe, to God, and just freeing up that space inside you, casting your fears and your worries on Him. And yeah, that to me has really helped to transform my life. And I just found that, especially when I combine them, so perhaps I start with some prayer and then go into a silent meditation afterwards, it just gives me so much mental space and really fills me spiritually as well. And I don't think that gets talked about enough in self-help. We're very focused on kind of the physical and the mental side of it. But I feel like a lot of people leave out the spiritual side of what it means to be human. And for me, I found that spiritual side in God, in Jesus, and it did really help to transform my life and shift me from this place of numb, purposeless, and just feeling really lost to actually finding my direction and finding my path again. And so that's that kind of section, I suppose, of my habits. I like to kind of categorize under body, mind, heart, and spirit. The body being your movement, your mind being the reading, your heart being the emotional, the journaling side of things, and then the spiritual being obviously the prayer or meditation or yoga. But then I have another group of habits that I like to do, which I class as my elemental habits. And you have to bear with me for this one, because it's maybe a little tenuous, maybe not, I don't know. But I've always kind of liked the earth, fire, air and water. I think some of that probably comes from watching Avatar: The Last Airbender when I was younger, and spending far too many hours playing RuneScape with all of the different runes you could use to cast magic spells. But anyway, these fire, air, earth and water habits, I think, just add another layer on top of those body, mind, heart and spirit habits, and together just form a really cohesive plan for your life, and are good to do every day. So for earth, I think we've already talked about the diet that we feed our mind, whether it's reading healthy and useful things, or whether it's filling our mind with social media and with fake news, with rage bait, all of that stuff. And yeah, I think we can often miss doing that for our mind, but we can also miss doing that for our for our body as well. And so my habit for Earth is just to eat more fruit and vegetables. And I know that sounds very simple and very school-like, that oh, eat your 5 a day, but it does really help, because eating your 5 a day will get you so many nutrients, so much fibre in your diet, that your digestion, your mental clarity, and your skin even can really start to improve just from increasing the intake of fruit and vegetables in your diet. And because it's quite a simple thing to focus on, it's just an easy target, it doesn't make dieting too difficult. How did I stumble over difficult? Anyway, apparently difficult is a difficult word. But yeah, I've lost my train of thought now. Where were we? Yeah, fruit and vegetables. So it can be, because it's not a difficult thing I got it that time, because it's not a difficult thing to get into your mind, just, okay, I need to eat 5 fruit and veg a day. It doesn't take out too much mental power, too much mental willpower, and it's very easy to build into your meals as well. I quite often have 3 of my 5 a day. Just with my breakfast, I have a bowl of yogurt and fruit. So it's a nice, easy win. But it also helps because once you start eating healthier, I think it helps a lot of your decision making as well. You actually start to identify with that healthy version of you, the version of you that's putting good things into your body, and it translates into other areas as well, and also just makes you more conscious when you're picking foods and eating, that is this going to be a net positive or a net negative for my health, for my body. And then onto water, and in the same vein, the water is hydration. Many of us don't get enough to drink in a day. And I, again, was very, very guilty of this for a long while. And I still slip up from time to time. But getting enough water is really, really crucial to our bodies. I think we are something like 60 to 80% water as humans. And so when we become dehydrated, that's like over half of our life force just being crushed because we haven't given ourselves what we need. I find a good guideline amount for myself is somewhere between 2 and 3 litres of water a day, and then I'll quite often have a coffee or a green tea on top of that. So I'm getting somewhere between 3 to 4 litres of fluid a day. And that will be different for you, because you'll be a different size to me. You may be older, younger, but yeah, somewhere in the kind of 2 to 4 litres, I think, is a pretty good ballpark for most people. And when you start doing this regularly and it becomes a habit, you really do notice that transformational difference in how you feel, how your body feels, and it gets rid of a lot of the brain fog that, again, I think we can so easily stumble into when we're in this numb and lost place in our life. The very simple things like just drinking enough water suddenly feel like they're just in the back of our mind because we've got so much noise going on up here. But when we start to focus on them, we actually help to clear up some of that noise. And again, in the same vein of kind of clearing up the noise in your head, my next habit, the air habit, is to get out and get some fresh air every day. I love to come on a walk up to this little place of, it's a bit of a wilderness really, not too far from my house. And yeah, I just love it up here. It's really peaceful, it's really quiet. I'm surrounded by greenery, by birds, and I saw a rabbit on the way up here as well. And it's just nice to immerse yourself in nature, whether that's just going and sitting in the garden for a while with a cuppa, or getting out for a walk. Having some fresh air and perhaps a little bit of movement is a really, really good thing to do on a daily basis, especially in the winter and especially in the UK where it's dark and rainy and miserable most of the while. Getting out and getting some sun on your face, getting some vitamin D, and just getting some fresh air is just so beneficial for us. It was Friedrich Nietzsche, the famous psychologist, who said that you should never trust a thought that you have indoors. And I think that's so true. Oftentimes on my down days where I'm feeling numb and lost and just still get that sense of dread about life, it's often because I've just been cooped up indoors too long, and the stale air and my stale thoughts are just bouncing around inside my head and inside my house. And even though my home is a lovely place to be, stepping outside and getting that fresh air and just refreshing my energy outdoors, it's just one of the best things that you can do for your overall health, I think. And finally, we come on to fire. And this is probably the tenuous link, but for me, creativity is the fire in my life. And for a long while, that fire wasn't stoked. It wasn't kindled. It probably wasn't even embers, to be honest. It was extinguished. I didn't have a creative outlet. I didn't have a creative fire in my life that I was making things, I was creating. Instead, I was just consuming so much content and so many substances and just lots of stuff that wasn't doing me any good because I was just consuming and I wasn't creating. I wasn't putting anything back into the world. I wasn't giving of myself. And I do believe that all of us are creative beings and that we all have creative talents. Now, for some of you, it may be you're really good at dancing or great at playing a musical instrument. Neither of those are my creative talents. I have 2 left feet when it comes to dancing, and yeah, I'm not particularly musically inclined. But for me, I love drawing and writing and painting and just creating visual things or stories as well. Where my real passion comes in. And yeah, again, for a long while, I didn't let myself tap into that side of my life, and I think that was why I felt quite stale and quite lost, because I just didn't have this sense of making anything, of creating anything. And so I became walled in by all of the content that I was consuming. And what I actually needed to do was push those walls out and expand myself rather than bringing everyone else's opinions and thoughts and ideas in. I needed to start pushing mine out. And when I did that, I felt like a real sense of that numbness just leave, because I think we're often numbing ourselves because we want to feel something. And for me, creating and making something, you can't do that without feeling something. You put yourself into whatever it is you're making, whether that's baking a cake or carving something, making something with tools, woodworking, anything like that. You put yourself into it, and it can give you just working with our hands and with our imaginations as well is something that's very lost in today's society. And I think that's the reason why so many of us feel lost, because we're not doing what we were made to do. We're not being creative beings that we were put here to be. So that's my final habit. And if that all sounded like quite a lot to you and you're not really sure how to begin implementing those into your life, then I've made a free short 30-page ebook linked in the description below that will just take you through all of those habits in a bit more detail and show you how you can implement them into your day-to-day life. I know that it will help you to escape the place of feeling lost and numb and burnt out that you're in, because it did for me. And it's a very flexible system, and I think you'll be able to work it into your life in a very sustainable, very simple way, and yeah, get the transformation that you're looking for. So, as I said, links in the description if you're interested. It's completely free, and I hope it really helps you. Thanks ever so much for watching to the end of this video. It really does mean an awful lot to me, and if you're not subscribed, please do hit the subscribe button. Again, means the world, and just fills me with so much joy whenever I see a new subscriber pop up on this channel. So that's it for today. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, take care and God bless.